Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Will McBride, and I got to turn on my video. And Raj, aka the king of the Discord, and a very active Market Chameleon user. How are you doing, Raj?
Fine, Will. How are you?
Awesome. Before we get started, Raj, let's make sure everyone reads the disclaimer. Neither Raj or I or anyone at Market Chameleon are registered investment advisors or broker dealers. If you need advice, which we all do at times, make sure you consult a professional, probably someone who's a broker dealer, for any questions that you may have. This is strictly things that Raj and I do on Market Chameleon. And we'll talk about Discord, which Raj runs with Jake, aka the doctor, and other chameleons. But in no way should you take anything we're saying as advice on what to do. With that, Raj, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about Raj?
Sure. Okay. So I've done this webinar a few times. Some of them may have already know, but I'm an architect. I'm not a full-time trader. I do part-time trading, and I live in Vancouver, Canada. We just had our elections yesterday. Yeah. Other than that, I'm just a regular user of Market Chameleon. And I'm learning from all of you, a lot from Dimitri and Will. And we also have a user group which we collaborate on trades using Discord. So I'll show a little bit of Discord later, but today's topic is a little bit different. So let's get to that.
Now that before Raj gets started, that Discord group is run basically by the Chameleon community. It has nothing to do with Market Chameleon or Dimitri or myself, though we get on occasionally. If you want access to that, I have a link that I can send you. I will put my email in both the YouTube chat and the Zoom chat. It's williammcbride@gmail.com. And I can send anyone who is interested in joining that Discord group that link. We do have people still funneling in a little bit, Raj. So we may want to wait a couple more, at least another minute. So I will put that email in the chat. Also, Raj, do you want to take questions potentially live today or just in the chat?
Yeah, I'm fine with taking them live. Feel free to raise your hand, so you can actually even speak out your questions. Join if you're in the Zoom session, or Dimitri will be capturing them from YouTube and the chat.
Yeah, as good looking as I am, I'm not as good looking as Dimitri. So I'm his partner, Will, and never to be confused with the king chameleon, Dimitri, who is
for sure
really the founder and on every morning. We are co-founders, but he's really the visionary behind Market Chameleon and everything this platform has become. So what actually happened with that election yesterday? That was a heated one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was basically the same. We sent the same people back into the parliament. Nothing really changed. It was just a waste of time and money. So in a way, it was, for Trudeau and the Liberals, it was not good. They thought they were going to go back with a majority government, but still a minority government, exactly the same as they were before 2 years ago.
That is a waste of time.
Exactly. And that too in the midst of this pandemic and, all of this stuff, people don't like that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't bode well, really. Yeah. So anyways, in the YouTube chat, I put my Gmail account, and I also put it in the Zoom chat. So hit me up if you want a link to the Discord. Very active and friendly and informative group. And I guess we have almost 40 people on between the two platforms, Raj. So let's get started.
Awesome. Also, I want to mention that the Discord is a private invitation-only server. You will not be able to find it on the searches or on the Discord, this thing. So the only way to get in is to get a link from Will or one of the other hosts of Discord. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and let's do the presentation. Let me go to the cover slide. Okay, so you see my screen okay, right?
Yep.
Okay, so today's topic is how do you develop a thesis and analyzing, cross-checking and analyzing the trade ideas that are selected by Market Chameleon. So something that shows up as a trade on Market Chameleon, how do you analyze it further before actually just blindly following it without understanding what's going on? Okay, so that's the topic. So basically, you're making a thesis, a story that you're telling yourself, okay, these are the situations, and this is why I'm going to do this trade or not do the trade. Okay, so let me share. So this is, I'm just going to show, this is what I understand. I may be a little bit off on this, but Dimitri or Will can correct me. But how does Market Chameleon shortlist a trade that shows up on their homepage or in one of the screeners as a selected or a potential trade option trade to make? So it analyzes, of course, the underlying price and the market capital. So you're not going to get, penny stocks and, low market cap trades out there. It's going to look at the liquidity of options so that the options themselves are easy to get in and out of, to open positions and close positions. So liquidity is important. It's going to look at company events that are upcoming. If there's earnings or dividends or any big company conferences coming up, it's going to analyze that and either pick the trade or ignore the trade. And it's going to look at seasonality data from historical data. It's going to look at the seasonality. It's going to look at technical trends, basic technical trends for the stock, and also back testing. So using multiple years and quarters of data, I can look at if you do the same trade over and over again, what's the win rate and what's your theoretical edge. So these are some of the things that I know that Market Chameleon is looking at before it finds a trade. So
now with all that being said, Raj,
yeah,
particularly with company events, dividends, earnings, you just don't want to see a trade and just act on it, right? You want to dig in with your research, and Discord's also a great place to do it, right? You guys constantly are running those trades and talking about them with other traders in the Discord.
Exactly.
And, again, the people on the Discord have come back to the Chameleon team and let us know their issues. Maybe an event's not in there, or, with dividends, it's all the data we have. Things can be wrong with the data flow, right? So you've got to research all your trades and really, develop your thesis and, move on with it if you're comfortable with it, of course.
Exactly. And also the point that Dimitri Will brings out is that rather than one person looking at the trade, multiple minds, multiple eyes, multiple intelligences, all of us together, analyzing that trade from multiple angles, it always helps, right? Because something I may see and another user may see a completely different perspective, and it's always valuable to see multiple perspectives. We almost operate like I would say, we would like to operate like a hedge fund almost, like, multiple people analyzing something. Okay, so where does the MC trade show up, the shortlist? So let me show you some pages. So if you go to I'm going to click on the home page. I'm going to drag this tab here. So this is the very home page. If you're a subscriber, and you log into Market Chameleon, this is the page you get. So these are the top trade ideas with high yielding potentials, right? So if you click on one of them, it gives you why Market Chameleon has picked this trade, how it works, the analysis. So for example, the payout diagram for this trade. So this is a bull put spread, right? So bull put spread, and you can see the payout diagram. You can look at all of these different tabs basically, and the trade card. So this is like Dimitri has explained this many times. So this is like a player card. So it's looking at the trade. Basically, it's a vertical spread, a bull put spread, expiration on 15th of October, and these are the strike prices. So you buy this particular strike price and sell this one, right? And this is the historical win rate. This is the edge, and current market price is this, and theoretical value calculated by Market Chameleon is this. So you get this in short, right? So before this is selected, Market Chameleon does a lot of analysis. Like I showed on this slide, it has analyzed all of this and found that trade for you, okay, or put that trade, and it lands on the home page. The top trades, which the maximum yield in the minimum amount of days, land up on this page. But NVDA probably has a lot more trades. It has selected this as the top trade to put on the home page. But if we go, for example, if we enter the site, and now let's look at let's see, for example, if you want to analyze this further, if I'm interested in this particular trade, let me compare this NVIDIA trade to other NVIDIA trades that also show up. So let's say here I get under trade ideas. If you look at active options, so these are the trade ideas on the entry page after you enter, and these are the active options. So the options being traded the most for stocks. So you can see that Apple is at the top, and it's at the top because option volume is almost 1 million options traded just in today, right? Tesla and then SPY. NVIDIA is not here. So to get NVIDIA statistics, what I can do is I can go to custom tab, and or I can type here NVIDIA, right? So now NVIDIA is going to show up here, and I see the trade for NVIDIA. So this one was a bull put spread that was selected on the home page. So this is going to be, if I look at just bull put spreads. So this is the top 3 by edge, right? If I want to see top 3 by win rate. So these are the top 3 by win rate, and here now it's selecting the top 3. If what I want to narrow is by the win rate, right? So this is the win rate here. So you can see that these all have higher win rates, but lower edges, right? So if I want to only sort by edge, so now you can see these have higher edges, but lower win rates. So depending on what your strategy and risk appetite is, you can go with either one of those, right? But let's look at bull put trades now. So bull put spreads. So these are the ones, top 3 ones, and on this page is probably going to be the one with, let's see, which one is this? So this one has got a 79% win rate and 27.3% edge. So let's go to this tab. So it's closer to this one, right? So it's not the exact same one, but it's very, very close to this. So here, now you're analyzing that. So you have 2 options. Now, if you like this one, you can either go with this exact one, which is 207.5 to 12.5 on October 15th expiration, or you can go with this one. Is it exactly the same? 207. Oh, it is exactly the same, actually, but the numbers, yeah, it is the same trade, 27.3 and 79.4%. Okay, so this is the exact same trade, but these are the other ones that you can look at. So this one had a higher win rate, right? And this one had an even higher win rate, but lower edge. So this particular trade, the top 3 bull put spreads, if you're only interested in bull put spreads. So let's say if I'm concerned about the win rate, it doesn't matter whether it's a bull put spread or any other kind of trade, and top 3 by edge. So this one, for example, is a debit iron condor, right? And this is just a long call, just a single leg. The iron condor always, it has 4 legs here, and this one is just a vertical with two legs. So how has it selected these, right? So these are like, if you do just a long call screener or a debit iron condor screener or a bull put spread screener, these are the top ones that will show up in that screener, and those are put here, right? So Market Chameleon has looked at the liquidity, which is options volume, the market cap, the price for the ticker, so you don't get any kind of penny stocks and stuff like that. It's looked at the IV rank, and it's also looked at a technical analysis. So this one, not here, but let's say if I go to win rate, this one, you can see generally it gives a one-line thing about why this particular trade is here. So this is best by downside cushion plus 10% edge. This one is best by win rate plus 10% edge. Okay. So this is NVIDIA. But if you look at the active options here, and let's say I want to see someone which also shows up by technical IV rank. I'm just going to find something that has been selected because of technical reasons. So maybe under seasonality bullish. right? So here there is a trade. Maybe bullish here. Just give me a second. And there are times when you will see, in addition to all of these factors, you will see the technical indicator here as well. And it kind of, this is a new thing that Dimitri added, that in addition to looking at all of these things, it also looks at the technical trend for that particular thing. And that particular reason will show up on this explanation here. Okay, so let's get back to NVIDIA. So NVIDIA, let me look at, let's say, credit iron condor. No, there's nothing, no selected trades. Seasonality, bullish plays, none. So let's just go back to this one. So it has found some trades by win rate. Okay, so let's analyze some of these further. Okay, so if similar to the home page, if you click on this particular the analysis right here, but if you click on this report for this particular trade, you will get an analysis similar to what's on the home page, right? So you get all of the reasons that this particular trade is here, and analyzing it further. The payout diagrams, option strategy analysis. So this is the credit you're going to get, theoretical value, all of that stuff, and the takeaway. So this is the takeaway for this particular trade, and the trade card again, right? So that's what you get here as well. If you click on this option chain here, what this will do is it will take you directly to the option chain with those particular legs selected for you, right? So it has already selected those legs. So buying that particular trade, and now you can analyze this particular trade further. So you click on the load analysis button, and it will analyze this trade. So you are selling the 15th October 197.5 put and buying the 15th October 192.5 put. Okay, so these are the that's the price and the IV for those particular legs. And here you can look at the payout diagram. So it will calculate for this particular combined position, this vertical, what's the delta, gamma, vega, theta, all of the Greeks. And here you can select this or analyze this further. For example, you want to see today is 21st September. So let's say on 30th of September, what is going to be my payout diagram like, right? So you see the blue line that shows up. This is how the curve is going to be on, the payout curve is going to be on this particular date. Let's say if you want to look at, it's showing you one standard deviation move, so which is 68%. What if I want to see the 2 standard deviation move, right? So what are the chances of it doing a 2 standard deviation? So the chance, it's got a pretty good winning rate, even if the stock makes a 2 standard deviation move, there's only a little bit chance that it will end up losing money, right? But of course, there is still a probability. The stock can do anything, you never know, but these are the standard deviations. If you want to analyze this even more, right now, the width of this diagram is showing a 5% move in the stock price. If I want to see, so this basically just scales the x-axis. So if I say 10% move, now it just basically, you can see that now I can see it from 170 to 260. If I make it 20%, then this will be, 280 to 160. So basically, this just scales the x-axis. So you can analyze this trade further, or you can even now, once you're here, let's say instead of 192 on 15th of October, instead of doing this put, which is 192 and 197. So 192 and 197. Let's say I want to do 200 and 195, right? I'm going to sell, or even let's make it a little bit extreme. So 210, let's make it 210. I'm selling the 210 put, and we will keep the width the same. So 210 versus 207.5. Okay, so load this strategy. So now I change the parameters, and now you'll see that we have a different different profit loss diagram, right? You're going to get more credit for it, but your cushion to the downside is smaller, right? So you can change this further, and if you want to, let's say, convert this from just a put vertical to an iron control, you can keep adding. For example, now on the call side, I want to sell the 470, 220, and buy the 222.5. So now I'm adding more leg. You can see that now I added a call side to this. So sell at 220 and buy at 222.5. So now let's load this analysis. So now this has been converted to an iron condor, and now you can analyze this further. So that's one way that you can analyze this particular. Before doing this trade, you can see, okay, this one is good. What if I change it to something else? So that's one way to analyze. So let's look at now further. Now, let's say now you pick the trade. Okay. So let's look at what you want to analyze. So you want to do additional analysis on this particular trade, right? So additional ways, in addition to what Market Chameleon has done to identify the trade, the other things you can look at is to verify the technical trends. That you're doing a bullish spread. If you're doing a vertical bull put spread, you want to verify that really the stock is in a bullish trend, right? You want to look at the fundamentals. You want to look at options order flow. So where is the big money flowing, or the dark pool, or through options, how is the orders are flowing in? You want to look at volatility, or the IV ranking, implied volatility, right? Implied volatility is the big factor of the options price. So you want to see where that stands. You want to look at seasonality, and you want to look at company news. Though Market Chameleon has done screened for all of these things, you still want to just verify. Okay. Am I doing okay, Will? Is there any questions? Need to pause?
Sorry about that. I muted. Sometimes you get reverb in the house if I
Sure.
put on. But no questions yet. Everyone seems pretty right on what you're saying.
Okay, good. So now let's say I picked this particular trade, right? I want to now drill down into NVIDIA. What is NVIDIA doing? So one way to do that is if you control and click this particular symbol here, or anywhere that you see NVIDIA, you will get into, you'll open a new tab because I'm control clicking, and which will drill down into NVIDIA. So I get a vertical menu which is dedicated for NVIDIA, right? So I can look at multiple things now. So I have a summary for the stock info. I can see everything condensed into one page. So here I have charts. I have the implied volatility chart, and then I have the strategies similar to the home page which were picked for me. And then I have news. So I have all of these sections condensed into just a single page, right? So I can glance at this, and if everything lines up with my analysis, I can go ahead if I don't want to waste any more time on this. I'm pretty certain. If I want to do any more, then I can drill down into details for this, right? For example, I can go into the charts, and so this I can look at, for example, this is the current day's chart. I can look at the historical chart. I can look at the implied volatility thing. So this is just the simpler versions of the chart. There's also another page with more detailed charts. I'll show that to you. Trade ideas is similar to what we saw. You can look at the news. Is there any news about NVIDIA? You can just scan the headlines and see if there is any news that can move the stock price in a big way. So you can check that. You can look at the trading stats, right? So this shows you the volume of the stock and average volumes, and whether today's volume is higher than the average. So you can look at all of these factors. You can look at the key ratios. If you're doing basic fundamental analysis, you can look at the price to earnings ratios and all of those things. And you can also compare this to a comparison group. So NVIDIA is a technical, its sector is technical. You can verify that here. Click on this. So NVIDIA is under the technology sector, right? And industry semiconductors. So you get this little cheat sheet about the basics of the company, so close that. So let's compare it to one of the XLKs, the S&P ETF for the technology sector. So you can compare it compared to NVIDIA. So if I say reload, now it's going to compare NVIDIA to its peers, which is XLK. Let's say if I want to compare it to some other sector ETFs. Actually, this doesn't show up here, but I can put a custom symbol, and I can say I can put let's say what can I compare NVIDIA to? So let's say Tesla. Right, so you can see, you can compare it to a particular ticker and check that. Let's say I want to compare it to NVIDIA would be ASML, I guess, the chip manufacturer. So you can compare it to different tickers like this. So that you can do that analysis. Then you can do more charting analysis. If you go to charts, you can see currently this particular summary here in the blue or the light green box here gives you at a glance all the stats that you need to know, most important stats, which is basically the low and high for today, the 52-week low and high for the price, the volume of the stock for today, the volume weighted average price, right? Options volume, 30-day implied volatility, 30 IV 30 rank. So this is implied volatility, 30-day constant. What's the rank? So right now it's subdued compared to it. So it's at the 19th percentile at the lower end. And the technical indicator. So this is the charting and analysis. If you click on this, so it's saying it's in a top pullback, right? You can study this on Market Chameleon. I mean, this particular word, what does this mean? But it's pulling back from the top, right? So it pulls back below the 20-day moving average right now. So you can look at that. So let's verify that. So I'm going to go to the 3-month chart and let's see 20-day moving average, right? And this is the 50-day moving average. So enable those. So you can see that now NVIDIA stock price has dropped below the 20-day. And so that is what this means, right? But you can also look at, for example, it's again trending up, right, on the 3-month chart. So maybe that is the reason that we have a bullish spread. Okay, so you can look at this. There is other analysis. You can look at, value versus 20-day moving average, right? So it is currently at 5.1% below the 20-day moving average, right? You can look at value versus 50-day moving average. So it's above the 50-day moving average by whatever percentage. You can analyze this. So this is the charting analysis. All of this, I'm doing it at a little slow pace because I'm explaining this to you. But when you're picking a trade, you don't want to be going into analysis paralysis. That means analyzing it so much that ultimately, you just get paralyzed and you don't do anything. You want to quickly scan through important things depending on the trade to make sure that what trade you're picking fits in with your style of trading, with your risk appetite. Okay. So after technical, let's look at skim through fundamental analysis. So the most important pages on each of these sections are the summary pages, right? So under fundamental section, if you go to the summary, this gives you in a summary glance about the fundamentals of this company. So the key ratio summary, right? So the same thing that we looked at on this particular tab, similar to that, but with more details. So you can look at the key ratio summary. You can look at the profit margins for this company compared to S&P. So you can compare it to, let's say, XLK for the technology sector now. And you can see what is NVIDIA's gross margin compared to XLK, which is, again, a basket of companies, right? So if you average out everything in XLK, NVIDIA is still better than all of those. So you can look at these. You can look at the growth rates. So why does it have this kind of a premium, price to earnings, which is 75? So you can look at For XLK, the growth rate is 11%, whereas NVIDIA is 68%. So you can verify those factors. You can look at the valuation multiples again, PE versus whatever you benchmark symbol you picked here. So you can compare that. So that's fundamentals. You can dive down deeper into fundamentals doing peer comparisons. And here, this I find pretty useful. If you're selecting between, a few companies which are similar to this, you can do the comparison to those. So here I can put in the symbol if I know, but what Market Chameleon does is very handy. If you scroll down, it picks out all the other tickers that are similar to NVIDIA for you, right? Rather than the whole universe of stocks, it's already selected some similar to NVIDIA. So now let's pick something to compare to. So let's say Broadcom. I'm going to add Broadcom to the comparison, and when I click add, it gets added here. You can see that Broadcom is added. Then I want to add, let's say Qualcomm. I want to add TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, and NVIDIA. You'll see there's no add button here because that's what you're comparing. You're on the NVIDIA page, right? So let's say, what else can we compare? You can also sort. I'm going to cross this out. So another important factor is NVIDIA's market cap is almost $500 billion, right? So you want to sort by market cap, let's say. You want something similar to NVIDIA in size. So this one, which is Broadcom, meets the criteria. TSM meets the criteria. And let's go with this one. I don't want this one. Let's just stick with this AVGO. Qualcomm is pretty close. So the other ones are smaller companies. So we have selected 3 of them. And now you can compare NVIDIA to all of these. You can compare the market caps, revenue, cost of revenue, and you can even look at percentage of revenue. So this is the percentage. The cost of revenue, NVIDIA spends only 36% to make this revenue, whereas TSM spends 47%. Gross profit, you can see it's at the higher end. So all of these things, you can look at the growth rates. So what has NVIDIA been growing at, which is 67%, whereas these other ones, Broadcom is only 14% annual growth, and Taiwan Semiconductor is so much so. So you can look at all of these stats. It shows you visual graphics here with bar charts, so which is higher. So the 3 tickers that you picked to compare with NVIDIA, right? You can look at market cap. Market cap, NVIDIA and TSM are pretty similar. So as you go on these individual rows, it's going to pull out this, generate this particular graph for you. So this is handy to look at. So this is just the income statement. You can look at performance. You can look at valuation, right? So the price, all the ratios. So that's, you're drilling down now deeper into fundamentals. So like this, you have other sections in fundamentals. With the fair value one is also very interesting, which Market Chameleon analyzes that for the 3-year average, what has the PE been, and currently is the market overvaluing NVIDIA. Right now, the market is almost by 50% overvaluing NVIDIA. So if that's a factor, if NVIDIA returns back to its historical price to earnings ratio and these other ratios, the historical implied value is this much. But right now, the market price is so much. So it's at a 49%. So you can look at those analysis. So there is a lot of data here. For just a vertical spread, you really don't have to worry too much about this because it's a risk-defined strategy. You're not just buying the stock outright, or you're not doing like a naked long-dated option. This is a short-dated vertical spread, so you may not want to go into so detailed analysis. Okay, the other thing then, earnings. Market Chameleon has already screened for earnings, so we don't have to worry about that. On options, under options, what you want to look at, this is the important area because you're doing an option spread. So let's look at the activity first of all. So I'm going to look at the activity. You can see that options volume for today was 275, and the date that we are picking is October 15th. So let's look at what's the activity been for this particular expiration, which is this October 15th, right? So 35,000 contracts were traded for this particular expiration today, right? And there's open interest of almost 500,000 contracts for this particular date. So it is a very liquid expiration date. I can drill down into this more. If I click on the open interest, now I can see which particular strikes have the maximum open interest. So I can see that this particular strike, which is 192.5 or 195, has a lot of calls and puts, equal number of calls and puts. So this kind of liquidity usually acts like a magnet, because as the market makers are hedging their positions, the price tends to be driven towards this particular ones with the long bars because of the hedging. So this is very valuable information. So right now, 195 is like a magnet price for this experiment. Today, NVIDIA is at 218, and it is in a, it's pulled back from the 20-day moving average. So this is what the open interest is. But the open interest is always changing because people are trading that. So let's see what this is from yesterday's closing, right? Because the data for open interest updates only once a day. Let's look at what happened today. So today there were 35,000 contracts traded, and which prices were they trading at? So you can see that though the open interest is maximum at 195, today what the market is saying is that it is being more bullish. So more were traded at 220 today. So the market is doing this, but tomorrow things may be different. So this is just today's statistics. About 4,000 contracts were traded. So this will adjust tomorrow when you look at the open interest, it will be different because now some of this open interest may be closed. So you will see different strike prices may have high bars tomorrow for this particular expiration. So that's one way to look at. You can see how the open interest for this particular expiration has been increasing or decreasing. And you can see that as going forward, it's been increasing, which means that there is interest, or this number is going to keep on growing, right? So this is another important page which shows you the activity of the options. The same kind of data you can also get from the options chain. So the options chain is actually a lot of data condensed in this page. So if you go to 15th October, so you can see here the volumes, and if I want to look at open interest here, so you can see the open interest for this particular strike prices and what is the volume today. So this is open interest, this is today's volume. Okay, so you can see that in the option chain itself. But on the top, you also have the same data that we got from activity. You have it actually presented right here without having to switch pages. So if you look at volume, and this is the volume for this single expiration. So I'm going to look at our 15th of October. So today, this is what traded for that particular expiration on individual strike prices. You can look at that. You can look at by minute basis how the options traded for only this particular strike. If you want to do it by strike price, you can do that too. You can select a strike. You can look at by expiration. So you have all of these volumes. You can look at the same thing for open interest. Like I showed you what the magnet prices were. So let's look at 15th October. Open interest, like we saw, 195 is the magnet price. And there are some other bars here which the price can move towards. Okay, so that's what we're looking. We looked at the technical trends. We looked at fundamentals, which is the price to earnings ratios and all of those things. Options order flow. This is what we are looking at right now. IV and volatility. So let's look at that. Okay. So today you are doing credit spread. So credit spread means basically you are getting paid to open that position, which is, let's look at this one, right? So it is a credit spread. You are selling a higher priced put and buying a lower priced one, right? So now you wanted to be doing this when the options premiums are high. That means the IV is high. You want this IV rank to be a little bit on the higher side. But since this has got a big cushion, it is not that important. If the IV is not that important, but if you are doing right at the money spreads, then the implied volatility can be important, because it can go up or down a lot, and it will affect your position, right? Okay, so that's let's look at the other way we can look at IV. So if you go to stock info, I think under summary, under charts, sorry, no, under summary, sorry, here you have the IV chart. You have the current IV and historical IV. So historically, the IV, this is yesterday's price, the previous close, with the red dotted line. So today it is similar as yesterday's. It's not at the very bottom that it can be, the 30-day implied volatility, but it is around yesterday's price. So this is the current and how it changed throughout the day today. So it practically, I mean, it stayed around the same. It did not make any wild swings today. So this is, you can look at this. You can click on this one, and this will take you to the volatility section, the implied volatility chart. So this allows you to drill down deeper into volatility. And if you're a volatility trader, that means you're trading, spreads, trying to capitalize on volatility going up or down. This page is important. Okay. So this is just the volatility chart, not the price, but the volatility is charted here. So this is IV30. We can look at the IV30 moving average for 20 and where it is, and historical volatility. And it is superimposed on top of options volume. So you can see, options volume going up or down. So you can see here that the options volume suddenly jumped up at this particular point, whereas the volatility dropped here, right? So this is when the market is bullish. So you can look at the 3-year, 5-year charts for the 30-day IV versus realized, and this is, this is the historical volatility, that is the realized volatility. You can look at the term structure for the options prices. So here for 30 days out, previous versus now. So it's below. So previously the volatility was high for the 30 days out stock, the options, and today it is lower, right? So volatility is going down in the short term. You can look at, so this one typically is always, this is the normal term structure. If you see it reversed, if you see it high for the short-term options and low, then that's what's called contango. So that one indicates that there is current uncertainty for the long-term options are cheaper than the short-term ones. Usually it's the other way around. The short-term options the long-term options are more expensive because uncertainty is more going down up into the future. So that's the typical term structure. So you can verify that. You can look at skew. If you are doing calendar spreads or time spreads, this is again important. So you can compare different, so I use it mainly for comparing expirations. So I can see, for example, 15th of October, the median IV for all of the options is this, and it is, let's say, I want to compare it to 19th November or some other dates, and I can look at how it compares the curve. So this is the current price, and if I go to 200 strike price, what's the difference? 400, you can see that the so let's say I'm the 180, right? So the 180, you can look at this pop out. The 15th October has got a more premium than the 19th November, right? 15th October versus 19th November. I'm just going to uncheck this. So for 200, you can see that there is a difference in this IV. So you can capitalize on this with different strategies like, calendar spreads or diagonals and things like that. So if you're doing that, you can verify the skews here. So this is the volatility section. How are we doing on time? So 3:45. Okay. The other areas, let me go back to my slide. So volatility and seasonality. So you want to also look at seasonality. What does NVIDIA tend to do at this time of the year, right? So that you can look, so under volatility, you can look at the seasonality of volatility as well as the stock price. So this is also interesting because volatility also changes according to the season, right? So typically during earnings, this I'm thinking is this rise in volatility is because of earnings. So these are the earnings yeah, so I think it's due to earnings happening here. So you can look at the seasonality of the IV. How does the implied volatility tend to, typically middle of Feb, it tends to be higher, and end of Feb, it tends to be lower. So this is the historical pattern, right? And you can look at it with the current year IV. So the current year IV is a little bit different, and this is because of the different scenario. The pandemic and back to work and working from home and those kind of things, which does affect NVIDIA. So that's
also with earning cycles, right?
Yeah. So yeah, this is with earning cycles. Okay, so that's the seasonality of the volatility. So don't confuse that with the seasonality of the price. So you can also look at seasonality of the stock price, and you can see MarketChameleon has analyzed for every year what tends to happen in February. So you can see typically in February the stock price gains, not always though, there are exceptions, so these you can then these are averaged out. So this is for the last 12 years, I think. Yeah, so 10 years, I guess this is the 10 years data. And if you average out, this is the averages that you get, right? So you can see that the highest rate tends to be in January. Currently, we are in September. So September is a hit or miss. It's pretty, it can go down or up. So it's only 1.5% up according to seasonality. So you want to verify that. So if you are doing an expiration of 15th October, now this is a red flag here that, there are years where October is a down month. So there is a risk factor right here, right? Now this you want to take into account that your win rate is 95% and you have a wide cushion on this, right? So this is the where I had the analysis. Let me open this analysis again. Options chain. And let's load this strategy. So it's populated the legs. I'm going to load the strategy. And you can see that even if it makes a 1 standard deviation move, which is pretty big for NVIDIA, I'm still safe until 1 standard deviation. So even if, let me go back to the seasonality. So even if considering even this risk factor, I may be safe depending on the strategy I pick. So this is something you want to verify. Okay. So this is where seasonality of the stock price comes in. The other things you want to look at is the news for the company. So not this one, but you want to look at the news. You want to check out the headline news, for example, right? So any big news. So you can click on this, control click on this, and this will open in a separate tab, and you can skim through this particular news of what's been happening. So that's one thing where, or you can just look at the headlines here, and if anything interests you, you can drill down deeper. You can look at the press releases. Is NVIDIA doing something major, like acquiring some company, or selling off a division or something like that. So press releases by the company are important. Company events. Now, these can also drive the price up or down. For example, if you're doing with a Bitcoin related company like MicroStrategy or Riot or something like that, and there is a big Bitcoin conference or cryptocurrency conference coming up, and there's going to be a bunch of companies presenting there, and it's going to be next week. It can really drive the price of the stock as the hype builds up for the conference. So you want to look at company events, what big events are coming up in that time frame that you have this position open for.
Well, there are a whole series of traders who trade biotechs, right?
Yeah.
And they trade around biotech announcements. So, I mean, there are a lot of people who use these events as catalysts.
For sure. Yeah.
Analyze.
Yeah. And there is a screener for big event screener. I think event driven screeners here. Market Chameleon has that, so you can use that if you are that kind of a trader to trade around events, and you can see historically what has happened during certain events. It could be so the type of event. There's a lot. I'm just going to open this since we spoke speaking about it. So you can look at the event type here. You can see all of these particular events are captured. So, for example, GDP report, retail sales report, new housing sales and stuff like that, which impacts builders, and even general nationwide events like big New Year's Day, Christmas Day, things like that. And you can see around this day, you can screen for what do certain stocks tend to do. So that's one way if you're screening around events. But this is company events, which is important if you're dealing with a single company. You want to know what are the events that are coming up. New press releases. These are not general earnings which are at a regular rhythm, earnings or dividends. These are exceptional events which happen, once in a while. Posts. This one is. I'm not sure. Do you know what this is, Will? Oh, these are posts that Market Chameleon has identified, and these goes to the Twitter feeds and things like that about this particular company. So something exceptional that is identified. So these are the posts about this company. So another company would have, let's say, Baba. Okay. So if I go to Baba, so
these posts, Raj, just a little history of Market Chameleon. These were the earliest. This was the earliest front page of Market Chameleon.
Oh, I see.
Okay. These data points were driven all day. I don't know. Jake's on the YouTube chat. I don't know if he remembers it, but particularly like the unusual option volume you see there. Those are the type of things you'll see on CNBC, like the Nigerian brothers will be reported unusual option volume.
Okay.
And 90% of the time when they report something, it's been we'll report the same thing in these posts.
Okay.
So it's worth checking in on the stock if there's anything popping in.
So these are historical posts. You can see that there's dates on this post. So this is an older post. The most recent one is on the top. So this one, so this has been selected because this straddle implies a 3.7% move. So this is the most recent one, and this one too. So you want to look at that. So that's related to the news for that particular ticker. So this is a lot of analysis what I covered for just a simple position which we're considering, which is a vertical spread, which is a risk-defined strategy with a wide cushion. You may not necessarily do all of these things, but you still want to skim through them pretty fast. And the benefit of having subscription to Market Chameleon is that all of this data is sliced and diced for you and presented in a way which is easy to understand. So you can literally just skim through this vertical menu on the important sections, and you kind of make a checklist for yourself. What are the things you want to check before you open this particular trade? Besides doing this, the other important thing is if you want opinion of your fellow chameleons, what do you think of this trade? Then you want to post this to Discord. And how you do that is if you go to that particular trade that I have open, there is this link that you can copy for this particular trade. So if I hit this and hit Control C, right? So I copied this to my clipboard. So now I have that particular trade, and I can go to Discord. So in here, let's say I'm going to do a risk-defined trade here, and I'm going to say,
hey, Raj.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, we have Jake on the YouTube chat. I'm laughing a little bit because in the mornings he's usually on the Zoom chat, not on the YouTube. But he's just he's asking where's Raj been? He's been missed on the Discord because you're usually really active during earnings. I know it's the next earnings season is coming up in the next 30 days, I think, with the bank earnings.
Well, I promise to be more active. Summer is typically pretty busy. I'm an outdoorsy person, vacations, hiking trips, all of that kind of stuff has been happening. So
Jake, some people have a life in the summer, Jake. I know. Raj still showed me his hiking trip up on the Vancouver Islands. I'm surprised he ever came back. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, the backpacking trip, it was wonderful.
Yeah,
After
that was awesome.
I went on a family vacation to Eastern Canada, and that was wonderful as well. I'm still in that vacation mode. So we'll be getting more active on Market Chameleon, Discord, and the markets.
Jake also mentioned something, those posts you were on, that is the Chameleon Twitter. If you go to search Chameleon on Twitter,
okay.
Chameleon,
so
all those feeds show up in the Twitter post. So
I'm sure, because that's why they're called posts. So I guess on social media, that's what gets posted, and then it gets posted to this page as well.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
And for everyone who's on, I keep mentioning Jake. He's one of the longest running chameleons. He's been with us since the beginning, and uses the site like Raj for a lot of different trade setups and ideas. But he also does a show where he shows us how he uses Market Chameleon, and he just did one the other day, which was great, about concerning volatility and how he looks at volatility when he's putting on a trade. I'll put that link into the chat so you can go to that webinar. And again, I haven't mentioned, but we have a MarketChameleon.com YouTube channel, and any video we do, either with chameleons who are nice enough to come on and do webinars like Raj and Jake, but we also do a morning show live with Dimitri and I every morning during the pre-market hours, 9 to 9:30. And all those videos, and Dimitri's done a lot of how-to videos as well, which are all available for free on the YouTube channel. So it's a great resource out there. But since Jake's on and it's such a fresh video, and I don't know, to me, the market does seem a little volatile now. So, thinking about and trying to, wrap your head around volatility in the market, it was a good piece by Jake on Monday. So I'll put that in the chat as well.
I missed that one, but I'm going to see the recording.
Yeah.
But we are up with time. So essentially, just to summarize, you want to analyze it from all of these angles and also get opinion of your fellow chameleons. If you're on Discord, you can share that particular trade idea and see what they have to say about it. So it makes it easy for them as well. They just have to click on this link, and it will take them directly to that particular trade with everything populated, and they can load the strategy and then comment on it. So that's the benefit of this copy link button. In addition to that, in analyzing an individual company, you also want to do what that particular sector of the market is doing, which I forgot to mention. You want to know what the technology sector is doing, or what even the whole general market is doing, right? So, if S&P itself is undergoing a correction, then nothing is going to go up, because if the whole tide is rising or lowering, then all the boats on that particular ocean are going to go up or down. So you want to be cognizant of the fact that what the underlying market is doing too. Even though
that's super important when you're looking at the trade ideas. And we had a discussion with Jake about a particular stock the other week, and it was a bull put spread kept showing up as with an incredible win rate and incredible edge, because those puts that skew the puts were jacked, and the market was falling. And if the whole market is like that, the bull, you have to be cognizant of what is going on in the market, because those data points for the win rate and theoretical edge are based on, the past 3 years of data. So if things in the short term are changing, you just want to be aware of everything, your surroundings. For sure.
And that is actually, from all the analysis, that's the most important thing you got to be looking at. I should have put that on here. The market, what is the market doing, first of all, and then you look at a particular trade.
And this was great news from Josh, who joined us on the Zoom. He said, this is the most helpful video I've seen yet. That should make you feel great, Raj. And Josh, that makes me feel like a fly at the bottom of my foot. I'm joking, because we put out seems like 1,000 videos, and having someone who's an active user like Raj on all the time, you do put out great content, Raj, and it's very helpful.
Well, thank you. And I mean, hopefully we get great speakers. I mean, you always have speakers there, but Jake comes on, and maybe other chameleons will come on and share their ideas. We want to be a team so that we help each other win and help each other make money.
Awesome job. Again, anyone who wants a link to the Discord, and you'll find Raj on there, hopefully more going into this earnings season, because Jake says you really bring it during earnings, which is great to hear.
Yeah.
So Jake, who I just shared your video with, he's on the Discord. So hit me up with a link for the Discord if you want it, williammcbride@gmail.com. I will again put that email in the chat. Thanks everyone for joining. Raj, great job. We have our morning show tomorrow morning, 9 to 9:30. You can join us on YouTube Live. And then tomorrow, Thursday evening, we have another chameleon, Raj. Believe it or not, I don't think he's a Discord user, but maybe after his show, I'll get him on the Discord as well. Oh, nice. Donald, who's an interesting character. He's a trader, a chameleon user, and he's a retired, businessman who has done interestingly well in the market trading options. So
cool.
Should be interesting. All right, everyone. Have a great night. Thanks, Raj.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Will, and thank you for having me. Bye, everyone.